Welcome to Chris Horner's Motorcycle Essentials. Today's episode, I really want to focus on what I believe would be the best full-size beginner trail bike out there, and I have it right here in front of me. 2020 TE150i. This bike is absolutely amazing. Now let's jump back before this video, and let's say you got the itch to get out there and get yourself a trail bike because you hear about how much fun your buddies are having on them. So you walked inside the motocross store and you looked at the sales guy. You thought this sales guy had some fabulous experience and he could help you out buying your beginner bike. Now the problem is this sales guy probably doesn't ride motocross because most of them don't, and they don't ride trail bikes because most of them don't, and they probably don't even have a street bike because most of them don't. They just sell dirt bikes. They're brought in there, they're hired to come in there and sell you a dirt bike. They'll probably send you out there on your first trail bike on a 250 or a 450 four-stroke motocross bike instead of an actual trail bike. Big differences between trail bikes and motocross bikes is the suspension and how they're set up. The trail bikes are going to be a lot softer suspension. The motocross bikes are going to be a lot harder. Now there's definitely a huge range for beginner full-size bikes out there. You can buy bikes from Kawasaki. They make a KLX, a 230 version that probably selling for about $6,000 to $7,000. And then maybe you'll get lucky and they have a Husky 150 or KTM 150 in there that they point out to you, and you're going to look at the price tag and it's going to say $9,500 or thereabouts, and you're going to think, I want that Kawasaki because it's $3,000 less. Here's the problem. When you're looking at a full-size beginner bikes and you don't know how to ride trail bikes, the biggest problem with the beginner is that you don't know how to work the gas and the clutch. You want the bike to be as light as possible and you want the bike to be fairly quiet. Those are all important factors. So when he's pointing you towards a 450 four-stroke, you automatically want to say no because you know the throttle is too much power. You can't control the throttle. The throttle does whatever the hand is telling it to do on a 450. When you go to a bike like this 150, what your mind wants it to do, there's a slight bit of hesitation because there's lack of power. So if you give it too much gas, which every beginner does, myself included, we all gave the bike too much gas when we were beginners. When you're riding the 150, there's time to fix that mistake before the bike jumps out from underneath your legs and sends you off to the hospital. That's what makes a 150 two-stroke trail bike such an amazing beginner bike. It has enough power when you really want it. You can pull that throttle back and it'll be more than enough for you as a beginner. Later you're going to grow up and you're going to want some more power for sure. We all do. But at that moment as a beginner, this throttle will do what you want it to do instead of what you're telling it to do. You don't want a bike that does what it's told to do immediately, otherwise that's how you end up in the hospital. You'll have time to fix that mistake as long as you don't panic too much, but there's a bit of a delay there on the smaller size bike. Now, upside about this TE150, I told you it's an amazing bike. The suspension is the same suspension on this TE150 as you get on their 300 models, so it's running the Explorer suspension. It's great for the trails. It's great for hitting ruts and roots and all that stuff. It's great over the whoops. The bike is super well balanced. So when you're going to compare this Husky with, say, some of the cheaper versions of the Kawasaki's, the bike is 20, 30 pounds lighter than that bike. Makes it much easier to maneuver. You don't have to worry about it getting so crazy and out of hand on you. So when you're moving the bike around and you're a beginner, that is a big advantage to having a lightweight bike. Having better suspension is the biggest improvement you can do to a bike. And when you're a beginner, if the suspension works better, you're going to have better joy, better reaction time, and of course better joy with the bike because it's not going to beat you up as much as, say, like the Kawasaki, the cheaper models out there. Now I'm going to start this bike up because I want to point one thing out. All right, it's super quiet, right? For an off-road trail bike, amazingly quiet bike. I could have a discussion with you guys while the bike's on. Why do you care if it's quiet? Now, you're a beginner, you just got on the bike, all the senses in your head, all the sensors or alarm bells in your head are going off when you're first starting to learn how to ride a motocross bike. You get on the bike, and as soon as you hop on the bike into this position, all the alarm bells are going off. You're getting worried, you're stressed, you're nervous, you're incredibly excited, and that's what's going to affect your throttle and your clutch. Now your clutch and your throttle are going to have the biggest factors of impacting what this bike is going to do when you're sitting on top of it. So when a bike's running a little bit quiet, makes your head think a little bit better. The alarm bells aren't quite as loud as compared to if you get yourself a 450 4-stroke. Because that salesman, he wants to sell you a 450 4-stroke. There's no doubt about it. They always do. They send out all these beginners on 450s, and I just cringe every time I read about it or see a friend of mine who just bought a 450 off-road motocross bike and wants to ride it as a trail bike but doesn't know how to ride motocross, doesn't know how to ride trail, and he's basically a complete beginner. When it's quiet, brings the alarm bells down on the head. Now you can think a little bit better. And when you can think a little bit better, you're not worried about the noise of the bike. So it allows you to think about what your gas is doing and what your clutch hand is doing. And those are the two most important, along, of course, with your brakes, because you got to be able to stop. All right, so here we are, TE150i. We're on the trails. I'm going to show you real quick about how easy the throttle is and how it won't just jump out in front of you. So we're going to start the bike. Again, the bike is super quiet. As you can tell, it's running right now. It's not making that huge noise like the bigger bikes will, so it's not sending off the alarm bells in your head. Got it in first gear, and let's go ahead and just roll out. See how easy we're rolling out now? Now look, this is no clutch. Here's the hand, one hand. Bike's not real scary, it's not jumping out. You don't need a lot of gas to get it going. This is really nice if you're a beginner because the bike's not hard to control. So that's the upside to the smaller engines. They're not hard to control because they don't just jump out from underneath you. But as I'm going to show you here soon, the bike can giddy up and start riding pretty hard and fast if you want to stay up with the big boys. See how the throttle is just not, see how much throttle I got there? But it's just not jumping out from underneath you. But look, you want the bike to still ride. See, it'll still do it if you wanted to do it. And of course you'll go good through all the turns. And it can handle this stuff, like these rocks like this, because it is a big bike. It's just a small engine on a big bike. Now we're going to go up through this little river ravine here. It's going to get rocky right up there in about the middle, and that's where a bike that's underpowered has problems. But I'll show you that with the right clutch and gas, a little bit of experience, you can still make it through this section. Let's go through here real quick. Alright, here's where it gets really rocky and difficult. Now, 1 foot down, and you can just roll the bike through this stuff. Alright, and you can see where the 150 is still tracking through here. Now, this is more experience, of course. You need a little more experience to get through this difficult stuff, but the bike can do it. Okay? I'm just walking it through here. Okay? There we go. Alright, see how the bike can still go up these nice rocky ravines like this and make it, even when you're on a small bike. And it will perfect your technique for later when you advance to the big bikes. Alright, see that? No problem, right? Now, like I said, in all fairness, I've been riding for a bit before I could actually go through that section. And on this 150, Took me some time to get used to the power, lack of power when you're going through there, because it needs more gas and clutch control together to make it through that, versus the big bike. Sometimes you could just plow your way through some of that with power. This bike here, you can do it, of course, but it takes more and more experience. Or you can walk it through like I did with just 1 foot tapping, a little throttle, smooth throttle still. You never had to get that scary power where the bike was going to leap out from underneath you and cause a problem, either break something on the bike, leave you stranded, or worse, break a bone on you or something like that. So that's why I really like this bike. Handles great and still does those rocky technical sections like that. Hey guys, so I want to show you something special about this bike and why I like it and think it's such a great bike for a beginner. Watch here, I'm not even on the bike. I'm letting the clutch out. Okay? How many times when you beginner gets on a brand new bike and that thing just jumps away from you? Look how easy this is. Watch. All right. Now watch. A little bit of front brake. All right. Look how easy that is. Look, bike's running, it's in gear. Look, no hands. That's what makes this bike just really fantastic. It's just not gonna surprise you and do something amazing. I mean, look at that. It's running, no hands on it. I mean, if you're looking for an easy bike to learn and experience trail riding, you can't get any better than this TE150. Hope you guys like the video today. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Garrett Horner Motorcycle Essentials. Ciao.